Dragon's snowy day. One morning, Dragon woke up from a long, cozy sleep. And then he noticed...
Ooh.
Things looked different outside.
Everything is covered with snow.
He shouted. Dragon loved a snowy day. Dragon was so eager to get out in the snow, he tried to do all his morning things at the same time. He couldn't wait to get outside. The first thing Dragon wanted to do was catch a snowflake on his tongue. He loved the taste of snowflakes. He loved making snow angels. And of course, he loved making a snowball and throwing it. Dragon knew it wasn't nice to throw snowballs at folks who weren't ready for it. So Dragon threw a snowball at himself. Making a friend.
Yippee-yi-ki-yay!
Dragon was having a grand old time in the fresh snowfall. That was fun. But now it was time to get down to work. It was time to build a snowman.
I'm going to make the biggest snowman ever.
He decided. Which was a bit of a problem.
Ooh.
Dragon decided maybe he didn't need his snowman to be quite so big. He would make a regular-sized snowman. He liked his new snowman, but it seemed to be missing something.
Ooh. Ooh.
But he knew what to do. Dragon turned the snowman into a snow dragon.
Guess who? It's me.
Dragon had a wonderful time with his new snow dragon.
I found you.
But soon, it was time to go inside for lunch. Dragon liked his new snow dragon friend. He couldn't stop thinking about the fun they'd had.
I miss my snow dragon friend.
Dragon wanted to be with his snow dragon, but he also wanted to eat his lunch. Now, happily, Dragon could do both. No problem. Dragon thought it was very clever of him to bring his snow dragon into the house. But then, the snow dragon began to melt.
It's too warm in the house for a snow dragon.
Dragon gave his snow dragon some ice cream to help cool it down. But the snow dragon was still melting.
Oh, no!
Dragon had a clever idea. He would let the cold air out of the fridge so the snow dragon wouldn't melt. But it still wasn't cold enough. He opened the back door to let in some more cold air. He opened the living room window. He opened the front door. He put out the fire.
Now it's nice and cold inside the house.
Dragon's idea worked. The snow dragon wasn't melting anymore. But Dragon was freezing. Then he heard Mail Mouse calling from the front door.
Hello? It's colder in here than it is outside.
Dragon thought about this. And decided to go outside to get warm. Dragon figures it out. Dragon's snow dragon was inside the house, nice and cold, and Dragon was standing out in the snow, trying to get warm. Something didn't seem quite right. Now he had someplace to sit, but it still didn't seem right. Now it seemed right. He was still cold, though. And his sandwich was frozen. Mail Mouse was curious.
Aren't you cold sitting out here?
She asked.
Very cold.
Shivered Dragon.
Then why don't you go inside?
Dragon reminded Mail Mouse that it was also cold inside his house.
Why don't you warm it up? Because then the snow dragon inside the house would melt.
Explained Dragon.
Why don't you put your snow dragon out here in the snow where it won't melt?
Dragon decided that was a very good idea and wondered why he hadn't thought of it himself. So Dragon put his snow dragon back in the snow where it would be safe. He shut the fridge door, closed the windows and doors, and sat by the fire. He was nice and warm again. For the rest of the day, Dragon played outside in the snow with his snow dragon. And when he got cold, he would come inside and warm up by the fire. Finally, it was time for Dragon to crawl into his warm, toasty bed and say,
Good night.
to his snow dragon, who was safe and sound in the nice, frosty air. Dragon was happy everything had worked out just right on a wonderful, snowy day. Bath time. One day, Dragon decided it was time for Cat to have her very first bath.
Scrub-a-dub-a-dub-bee in my wet warm tubby. Here, Cat.
Called Dragon. He'd never given Cat a bath before,
Ooh.
so he didn't know.
Here, Cat.
Cat didn't like baths.
Splishy, splishy, splashy.
Dragon loved
Take
baths.
my toasty bathy.
He made sure the water was the perfect temperature. He made sure the water was just soapy and bubbly enough. And he made sure there was just the right number of bath toys to play with. He made the bath just the way he liked it. So he knew it would be just right for Cat. Dragon called for Cat again.
Here, Cat. Bath time, Cat.
But Cat didn't come.
Oh. Here, Cat.
He hollered as loudly as he could. Dragon wondered where Cat could be. Dragon was puzzled. Cat was here a minute ago, and now she was gone.
Here, Cat. It's almost like she's disappeared.
Cat would have been very happy to hear that Dragon thought she'd disappeared, because she was trying very, very hard to be invisible. Hide and seek and seek. Dragon had prepared a nice soapy bath for Cat. But he didn't know Cat hated baths
Ooh.
and was hiding.
Where could Cat be?
Dragon wondered if Cat was playing hide and seek. The bath water was just right, and he didn't want it to cool off.
Ooh.
But Dragon decided one quick game wouldn't hurt. So Dragon counted to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ready or not, here I come. Ooh. Oh, well, I'll look over here and see.
Dragon couldn't find Cat anywhere in the living room.
Oh.
So he went to look in the kitchen. Dragon looked behind the sink. But she wasn't there.
No.
Dragon decided to look for Cat outside.
Wait, maybe Cat has already gone upstairs to take her bath.
But Cat really didn't want to take a bath. But Cat wasn't in the bath.
Ooh.
The bath that looked very, very toasty and inviting. Dragon decided there was no point in wasting a perfectly good bath.
Well, I guess I'll take it. No, that's not fair to Cat. This is her bath. I'm going to keep looking until I find her, even if it takes me all day long. Don't worry, Cat. I'll find you, and when I do, you'll be glad I did.
But as we know, Cat wouldn't be happy to be found at all. Hide and go hide.
Ooh.
Dragon still couldn't find Cat to give her her bath. Because Cat didn't want to be found. She didn't want to take a bath. Dragon thought maybe she wanted to play hide and seek and was hiding much too well.
Okay, Cat, you win. Come out wherever you are.
He called.
Meow.
Dragon figured rather than him looking for Cat,
Cat must want to look for me.
Dragon would hide, Cat would find him, and then she could have her bath.
Okay, close your eyes and I'll count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, come and find me. Oh.
But Cat didn't want to come and find Dragon. She wanted to stay hidden.
Ooh.
Dragon thought maybe he was hiding too well. He decided to give Cat a few hints.
This should help her find me.
But Cat didn't find Dragon. Dragon tried waving his arms.
Goochie goochie goo. Goochie goochie goo.
He tried whistling. Dragon decided he'd picked too good a hiding spot. He'd try hiding somewhere else. He hid behind the car.
Ahoo.
But Cat couldn't find him there. He hid behind the mailbox. Cat still couldn't find him. Dragon hid right out in the open. But no Cat. Dragon was baffled. Why hadn't Cat found him yet? Cat hadn't found Dragon because, well, she wasn't looking for him. Plus, by now, she was sound asleep. Rub-a-dub-dub. Cat's bathwater was still nice and warm, but Dragon couldn't find Cat because Cat didn't want to take a bath. Dragon wondered why Cat hadn't come up for her bath.
Of course. It's still missing something.
Dragon decided Cat was waiting until the bathroom was set up just right for a nice long soak.
She's a very clever cat.
Cat, meanwhile, was happily snoozing away in her hiding spot. Dragon got to work, mixing up a tasty batch of pickles and jujubes, one of Dragon's favorites, in case Cat wanted to have a snack while she had her bath. He picked a pretty bouquet of flowers, to make the bathroom smell nice and look colorful. Everything seemed perfect to Dragon.
Cat will hurry upstairs to have her bath for sure now.
Dragon wondered how Cat could resist. After all, he was ready to jump into the bath. But no.
Oh.
This bath was for Cat. But there was still no sign of Cat. Dragon decided if Cat didn't show up soon, he was going to take the bath himself.
But I'd better look for her one last time.
Cat, meanwhile, had woken up from her nap and did what all cats do when they wake up. She started to clean herself with her tongue. Dragon was about to call for Cat one last time when he spotted her.
Cat! You're giving yourself your own bath.
Exclaimed Dragon.
Meow. You don't need a regular bath.
Now Dragon knew why Cat hadn't come when she had been called.
Baths are for dragons, not cats.
So Dragon ran upstairs and jumped in the nice soapy bath. He sniffed the flowers and ate the snacks and had a wonderful splashy time.
In my wet, warm tubby.
Everything had worked out just fine. The perfect Christmas tree.
Dragon loved Christmas. So one cold morning in December, he went out to find the perfect Christmas tree. He saw all sorts of trees. Big ones, small ones, crooked ones, and straight ones. Finally, he found the most beautiful Christmas tree of all. It wasn't too big or too small. It wasn't too crooked or too straight.
It's just right.
Exclaimed Dragon. Dragon looked down at the tree's beautiful trunk. He drew a line.
This is where I'll saw the tree.
He was about to go get his saw when suddenly he looked at the trunk he had just marked. It stood firm and strong in the frozen earth. Dragon looked up and saw the tree's beautiful green branches.
I can't cut down such a beautiful old tree.
Dragon decided he wouldn't have a Christmas tree in his house this year.
Instead, Dragon came back with his box of lights.
He trimmed the tree with bright-colored lights,
Just what he needed to make his tree even more beautiful.
That night, Dragon looked out at his Christmas tree shining in the night. It was truly perfect. The Candy Wreath.
Christmas was one of Dragon's favorite holidays, and he loved doing Christmassy things.
I'm going to make a wreath out of candy.
He said.
Dragon had cut a hole out of a paper plate. Now he was going to glue the candy on the paper ring. Because glue is so sticky, he stuck a lot of candies to his fingers, too.
Oh, no!
It was tricky, but Dragon finally finished his candy wreath. When Dragon hung his candy wreath on the wall, one of the pieces of candy fell off.
Whoops.
It was tricky getting the candies to stick, so rather than trying to glue it back on, Dragon ate the piece of candy.
Scrumptious.
Said Dragon.
One more can't hurt.
He decided. Dragon didn't want his wreath to look bare, so he promised not to touch any of the candy.
I will only eat the candies that fall off by accident.
Pledged Dragon. Then Dragon accidentally touched the wreath,
Whoops.
and 2 more pieces of candy fell off. These 2 tasted even better.
Dragon decided he would look at a book to keep his mind off the wreath. He tried not to think about all that smooth, rich, sweet, creamy, dark chocolate candy.
Dragon couldn't sit still. Suddenly, Dragon couldn't stop himself. He shook the candy wreath back and forth, and he shook the wreath until every last piece of candy had accidentally fallen off. Dragon got a tummy ache from eating so much chocolate.
Maybe next year.
Groaned Dragon.
I'll make my wreath out of pine cones.
Mittens. It was the day before Christmas, and Dragon was very excited. He wanted everything to be perfect, so he decided to hang some lights on his house. He was about to go outside, except he couldn't find his mittens. Dragon was always losing his mittens. No matter how hard he tried, he could never keep track of them. Whenever he needed them most, they were nowhere to be found. They weren't even to be found in the silliest of places,
I must have lost my mittens for good this time.
thought Dragon. So, Dragon drove into town and bought himself some new mittens.
I don't want to lose this pair of mittens.
Then he lost his scarf. Merry Christmas, Dragon. Finally, the day before Christmas had come, and Dragon made a list of wonderful presents he would buy for himself.
1, a new comic book. 2, lots of things to eat. 3, a new scarf.
Dragon thought this was a good list.
Dragon found everything he needed at Ostrich's store. He couldn't wait to go home and wrap his presents. Ostrich loaded everything into his bag.
Well, there you go. Oh, wow. Oh, she is a great superhero. Oh, sorry.
Merry Christmas, Ostrich.
Really? Oh, thank you. And Merry Christmas, Dragon. Oh.
On his way home, Dragon met Alligator and Mouse singing in the street. They were asking anyone who enjoyed their singing to give them food to share with the animals that were hungry.
Tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Dragon gave them the food he had just bought.
Good tidings we bring to you and your kin.
Merry
Wish
Christmas.
you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Sang Alligator and Mouse.
Yeah.
And then Dragon saw Beaver, who was hanging Christmas decorations by his house.
I'm freezing out here.
Merry Christmas, Beaver.
Huh?
Huh? Why? Oh, why, thank you. Why, and a Merry Christmas, Dragon.
Said Beaver.
Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas.
When Dragon got home, his bag was empty. There were no presents left for him. But Dragon didn't feel sad. He went upstairs to his quiet room and crawled beneath his warm, soft quilt. He was happy with all the things he already had. And later, as he slept, Dragon dreamed he heard angels singing in the starry night.
Holy night. All is calm. All is bright.
Yeah.
Round yon virgin mountain.
Cutting through clutter. One day, Dragon was looking for his favorite hanky because he thought he felt a sneeze coming on, but he couldn't find it. He had too many things crammed into his closet. Dragon also had too many things stowed away in his kitchen cupboard.
I really should do something about all this clutter.
He decided. So, Dragon emptied his kitchen cupboard.
All this stuff was just getting in the way.
He realized. And then, Dragon took all the things out of his closet.
Look at all this space.
He beamed.
Oh. But where should I put it now? Oh, I know a place where there's lots of room.
Luckily, Dragon had all this new space in his kitchen. There was just enough space to hold all the things he brought down from his bedroom.
Now, I wonder where I should put all that stuff. Luckily, I've made lots of space up here in the closet.
Said Dragon. Dragon felt very pleased with himself. He had done something about all the clutter.
Ooh. Hi. Oh. Oh.
He still couldn't find his favorite hanky, though. Sail away. Dragon had carefully moved all his stuff from downstairs to upstairs, and upstairs to downstairs. But he hadn't really solved his clutter problem. He still had too much stuff.
Maybe I just have to come up with other clever places to put my things.
He decided. He looked under the bed, but he already had his rock collection under there. He looked under his sofa, but he already kept his picture books under there.
No.
And he looked in his fridge, but that's where he kept all his food.
Ahoo.
And then Dragon realized he would just have to get rid of some of his things. He would have...
A yard sale.
Dragon went through his things,
Oh.
trying to decide which ones he would sell at his yard sale. But it was harder than he thought. He had very fond memories of all his things. He liked his things. It was going to be very hard to choose which things to sell.
Maybe I'll just start with one or two.
Dragon finally decided what stuff he would sell. He put out some of the things he was sure he didn't need anymore, like his extra spoon, and waited for people to come along and buy them.
Ooh. This way I can get rid of a few old things.
Dragon thought it sure looked like a very nice yard sale. So nice, he almost wished it was somebody else's yard sale, because he would buy this spoon for sure. And then he remembered he already owned this spoon and was trying to sell it. So, Dragon waited for people to come along and buy his things.
Ooh.
It took a while, but Dragon finally had a customer.
Oh, having a yard sale, Dragon. I love yard sales.
Said Ostrich.
Ah, oh. Ah. Oh. Oh. Ah.
Ostrich looked very interested in buying Dragon's extra spoon.
Ooh.
But Dragon wasn't sure he wanted to sell his extra spoon anymore. Dragon had so many wonderful times with his extra spoon. His extra spoon was always there for him when his regular spoon was dirty.
Oh. Oh.
Dragon decided his extra spoon wasn't for sale anymore.
Oh.
Now, he just had to hope Ostrich didn't want to buy his extra fork, too.
Whoa.
Everything must stay. Dragon's yard sale wasn't going very well. He realized he needed to offer more things than just a pot, a pillow, and an oven mitt. So, Dragon decided to sell his empty pickle jar. He had lots of other jars and was certain someone would want to buy this extra one. It was a very good jar.
You once held some very fine pickles.
Pickles that had made Dragon very full and very happy.
How can I sell you after that?
Giggled Dragon. Dragon returned the jar to its place in the kitchen and looked for something else to sell. He needed to make room in his house and sell some unneeded things. But what was he ready to let go? Dragon knew exactly what he would sell next.
An ice cube.
Dragon decided to sell one of his ice cubes. He had plenty, and if he needed to, he could just make more. Dragon was very pleased by how clever he was. Selling his extra ice cube at his yard sale was a good idea. Now he just hoped somebody would buy it before it melted. It was a warm day, and the ice cube did melt. Dragon poured the melted ice cube water into a cup so it wouldn't dribble away. So now, instead of selling an ice cube, Dragon was selling a do-it-yourself ice cube kit.
You just take this water home and add cold. Once the water freezes, you tip out your brand new ice cube and bring the empty cup back to me.
Yes, he was a very clever dragon. The sale to end all sales. Dragon told all his friends he was having a yard sale because he had run out of space in his cupboards and closets.
Soon, they'll hurry here and I'll sell all this stuff I don't have room for anymore.
Earlier, Ostrich had tried to buy his extra fork and spoon. But Dragon decided he wanted them after all. And he drank his do-it-yourself ice cube kit because he'd gotten thirsty. Yes, his yard sale had already been quite action-packed so far. Now all he had to do was wait for someone to buy this cooking pot. The pot he'd had for so many years.
Ooh.
And for sure someone would snap up this pillow. It was a very good pillow, soft and fluffy, and it always helped Dragon have very nice dreams. And he knew as soon as one of his friends saw this wonderful oven mitt, they'd buy it right away. His finest, most faithful, best oven mitt ever.
Hello. This is a very nice pot.
Sorry, sale's over.
Dragon couldn't sell any of his things. They all held too many happy memories for him. And then Dragon realized he didn't need to sell any of his things to make room in his cupboards and closets.
I just need bigger cupboards and closets.
He was a very clever dragon. Although he still hadn't found his missing hanky. Dragon's Mixed Up Day.
One night, Dragon got into bed, ready for a nice, long sleep. But something wasn't quite right. It was too warm. So Dragon opened the window to let in some nice, cool air. then, there was a noise. The window was rattling in the wind.
There. That will stop the pesky noise.
Now everything was just right. Except Dragon was starting to feel just a bit cold.
I'll get another blanket.
Now everything was perfect. Except the bed felt a bit too hard. The stars were shining too brightly. Dragon had an itchy toe. He could feel a breeze. Somewhere, a pigeon was cooing. Dragon finally got everything just right for sleeping. And finally managed to fall asleep. But by then, it was time to get up.
Oh.
A sleepy, mixed-up day. Dragon had had a bad night and didn't get very much sleep at all. He was still very sleepy. And when Dragon woke up feeling sleepy, he always had a very mixed-up day. He opened a can of cat food and gave Cat the can.
Okay. Sorry. Silly me. Good doggy.
He sipped his toast and buttered his tea. After his sleepy, mixed-up breakfast, Dragon decided his yard needed a good sweeping.
Oh, my yard still looks pretty dirty.
So he swept some more.
There sure is a lot of dirt in my yard.
So Dragon swept and swept and swept. Dragon swept up so much dirt, he made a big pile.
Ooh, but there's still dirt everywhere.
Sighed Dragon. Alligator was passing by and asked what Dragon was doing.
I'm sweeping my yard. It's very dirty.
He explained.
Well, that's because it's made out of dirt, little blue dude.
Alligator was right. Dragon was having a very mixed-up day.
I wonder what I should do with this pile of dirt.
Dragon had a good idea. He borrowed Beaver's wheelbarrow and brought the dirt inside. Dragon gave the dirt a nice bath. Just because it was dirt didn't mean it couldn't be clean dirt. Yes, Dragon was just a little mixed up today. Snack time. Dragon didn't get a good night's sleep, and he was still feeling sleepy.
Whoops. Excuse me.
And when Dragon is feeling sleepy,
Pardon me.
he always has a very mixed up day. Dragon had been all mixed up at breakfast.
he sipped his toast and buttered his tea. So he was still a bit hungry.
I'll go to the store and get myself a snack.
So Dragon headed off to the store. Because Dragon was all mixed up, he couldn't decide which snack to buy.
Should I have carrots with cheese? No. Peanut butter with raisins? Pickles and bananas? No. Granola with applesauce and ketchup?
Dragon was too mixed up to decide.
Oh, my.
So, Dragon decided to buy one of everything, and then he would decide what to eat later. Dragon started to pull his cart full of snacks home. There was only one problem. There was so much food in his cart, it was really hard to pull.
I know. I'll eat some of the snacks now, and then the cart will be easier to pull home.
Except, Dragon still couldn't decide which snack he would eat.
Should I have carrots with cheese? Peanut butter with raisins? I don't think so. Pickles and bananas? Granola with applesauce and ketchup? Aha!
So, Dragon decided to eat everything. He ate and ate and ate and ate until all the food was gone. Now Dragon didn't have to push all that food home. Except he was so full, he had to find someone to push him home. He was having a very mixed up day. Good night, Dragon. Dragon didn't get very much sleep last night. And when Dragon didn't get very much sleep, he always had a very mixed up day. Today, he sipped his toast and buttered his tea. He swept up his yard and gave some dirt a bath. He'd been a very, very mixed up dragon. Dragon's sleepy, mixed up day was almost over.
It's time to get ready for bed.
But he was still very mixed up. So he brought in the garbage. He untidied the living room, scattered his toys, and turned on all the lights. He washed his face with his toothbrush, and brushed his teeth with his face cloth. Then he read a bedtime story to the bath.
Once upon a time, there was a nice purple dragon. Who lived in a house. The end.
And said
Good morning.
to Cat. Finally, he got his pillow fluffed just right, and his blanket just so, curled up in his bed, and fell fast asleep. It had been a very, very mixed up day, but he finally got something just right. scary pumpkins. It was Halloween, and Dragon set out to get himself a nice big pumpkin from the pumpkin patch. He'd borrowed Beaver's wheelbarrow because he wanted to get the biggest pumpkin in the pumpkin patch,
I'm going to carve the biggest, scariest pumpkin ever.
said Dragon. But when Dragon arrived at the pumpkin patch, all of the big pumpkins were gone.
Oh, no!
There were just 5 little pumpkins left.
Oh.
Dragon loaded up the little pumpkins and took them home anyway.
Dragon got to work on his little pumpkins.
This is going to be the scariest Halloween ever.
Ahoo.
Just then, Mail Mouse strolled up.
Hello. Those are very cute pumpkins.
When I'm finished, they're going to be very scary.
Little pumpkins can't be scary.
Laughed Mail Mouse.
You just wait.
Mail Mouse was right.
Ooh.
A little pumpkin all by itself wasn't very scary, but Dragon carefully stacked the pumpkins one on top of the other. Just then, Mail Mouse returned. It was the scariest pumpkin she'd ever seen.
Yeah.
It was the scariest pumpkin he'd ever seen, too. The scary costume. Ostrich was having a Halloween party, and Dragon wanted to wear the scariest costume ever. But he didn't have much to work with. He had his fly costume, but that wasn't really scary. He had his sunshine costume, but sunshine isn't really all that scary either. And he had his broom, which could be scary if he did something scary with it.
But I'm not sure how scary just a broom can be.
No, none of what Dragon had was very scary.
Unless I put it all together. Oh, that would be scary for sure.
So, Dragon put on his fly costume and his sunshine costume and rode his broom around in a scary way. It was a bit scary, but not scary enough. He decided what he needed was a scary walk, like a monster's. Dragon started to take great, big, lumbering steps, just like monsters do. Then, he stuck out his arms. That felt scary. But he still needed something,
I need to make scary noises.
realized Dragon. He tried going.
Grr,
He tried going.
grr.
He tried going.
Ow.
He tried going.
Wah-ah-ah-ah-ah.
He liked bwahahaha. That was a very scary noise. Now Dragon was all ready to go to the Halloween party. Dragon knew he'd have the scariest costume at the party for sure. If he could just figure out how to get into his car. Dragon decided he'd walk to the party. He just hoped he'd get there before it ended, because it's hard to do a scary monster walk quickly. The scary party. Dragon was all ready for the Halloween party at Ostrich's. He was sure by putting together his fly and sunshine costumes, and waving his broom, and making his scary bwahaha noise, he'd be the scariest one there. Dragon made his big, scary entrance.
Hi, Dragon.
Hi, Dragon wasn't what he'd wanted his friends to say.
Don't I look scary?
Scary. I suppose you look a little bit scary.
Said Ostrich. But not as scary as his friends. Ostrich was wearing scary fangs, like a vampire. Male Mouse was wearing a scary mask. Alligator was wearing a mummy costume. And Beaver was wearing an eye patch, like a scary pirate. Yes, they all looked just a bit scarier than he did. But he didn't mind too much. Hollered Dragon. Hollered the others. Hollered Dragon some more.
I'm being chased by a scary floating pumpkin.
Hollered his friends even louder. Then Dragon realized the scary floating pumpkin was stuck to his tail. He felt just a bit silly for being scared. His friends felt a bit silly too, but they all agreed Dragon now had the scariest costume at the party. Dragon was very happy. He liked having the scariest costume. Shouted Dragon.
Oh, yes. I am very scary indeed.
Scary sounds. Ostrich's Halloween party was now over, and Dragon was heading home. It was getting late, and Dragon was feeling very hungry. He started to think about all the tasty things he would have for dinner. But then, Dragon heard a sound. There it was again. Dragon liked Halloween to be scary, but not that scary. Dragon walked as quickly as he could, but the scary sound kept following him. What could it be? And then he saw something. It was just his scary pumpkins. Now Dragon wished he hadn't made them quite so scary. But what was that sound? The scary sound had followed Dragon right into the house. And it sounded like it was coming from... Dragon realized it wasn't a scary sound following him around. It was his tummy gurgling. He must have been really, really hungry. So Dragon made himself a nice batch of pumpkin and pickle soup. And pumpkin and mustard pie.
A big pumpkin and cupcake pizza.
And a pumpkin ice cream sundae. And Dragon ate and ate and ate. Until he felt as big and round as a pumpkin. He couldn't wait until next Halloween.